everyone, let's talk about the unit circle. So we're going to introduce some basic ideas here about finding reference angles, and you just need to know two special right triangles, and we can start to build the unit circle. So the first thing, just as a reminder, the unit circle is a circle with radius 1 centered at the origin. So if you want to kind of visualize it, if you have a circle that's got radius 1, looks something like that, that means the right side would be at 1, 0, and the top would be 0, 1, 0, -1, and then this would be -1, 0. So the radius of the circle is 1. Now, if the radius of the circle is 1, and I'm going to construct triangles, then the hypotenuse of all of these triangles is 1. And these are the two triangles that you absolutely must have memorized to do the unit circle. On the unit circle, the three reference angles that we usually work with are 45 degrees. And on a 45-degree triangle, since these are the same base angles, then they have the same legs, it's called an isosceles triangle. Both of the legs of this triangle will be radical 2 over 2. Okay, it's an isosceles triangle. If you do the Pythagorean theorem, radical 2 over 2 squared plus radical 2 over 2 squared will be 1. The other two you can orient two different ways. It doesn't really matter if that's 30 degrees or this is 30 degrees. If the reference angle would be, the other one would be 60 degrees, or here that would be 60. The way you want to think about this is across from 30 degrees is the short leg of the right triangle. The short leg is 1/2, so across from 30 degrees is 1/2. And then the long leg is across from 60 degrees. That would be radical 3 over 2. And again, you can use the Pythagorean theorem to verify those, but this is what you need to remember. Across from 30 is 1/2. Across from 40 is radical 2 over 2. And across from 60 is radical 3 over 2. It doesn't matter how the triangle is oriented. See, across from 60 is radical 3 over 2, or across from 60 is radical 3 over 2. So the way you remember that, opposite 45 degrees is radical 2 over 2, opposite 30 is 1/2, and opposite 60 is radical 3 over 2. This is the short leg, and this is the long leg. Just like, so we have some, that's how you spell long. So we have some informal ways of describing these. Across from 60 is the long leg, across from 30 is the short leg, and if it's 45, they're both radical 2 over 2. Isosceles means same legs in Greek. So let's kind of put the ideas of the rotation together with these special right triangles. So what I'm going to do is, like we've been doing with 150 degrees, first thing I'm going to do is, remember, you measure from 0 degrees is off to the right. So this would be 0, straight up is 90, and now I'm thinking, well, that's 180, but I only want to rotate 150, so I'll kind of draw it like this and say, okay, I rotated 150 degrees from 0. The question is, how many more degrees would I need to rotate to get to 180? So how many degrees shy of 180 am I? And that would be 30 degrees, because 180 minus 150 is 30 degrees. So this reference angle is 30. And what you need to realize now is that's that special right triangle, because the hypotenuse is 1, because it's the unit circle. So that's, right now, it's this triangle. It's just flipped over. Across from 30 is supposed to be 1/2. So if I go across from 30, this is 1/2. That's the short leg. That means this is 60, so that other leg must be radical 3 over 2. Since we're in the second quadrant, x is negative. So if you want to write this as an ordered pair, the x-coordinate is negative radical 3 over 2, and the y-coordinate is 1/2. We're describing this point P on the unit circle. We rotated 150 degrees, and then we drew the triangle, and we labeled the sides. The x-coordinate is radical 3 over 2, the y-coordinate is 1/2. Same idea, this one says negative 60, so negative means you rotate actual clockwise 60 degrees, not quite 90, just 60. And what you hopefully realize is when you draw your altitude to the x-axis, this reference angle is 60 degrees. So this is that special right triangle. Across from 60 is radical 3 over 2, so that's the long leg, and then the other leg must be 1/2. In the fourth quadrant, y is negative, so 1/2 negative radical 3 over 2. That describes this ordered pair right there, based on those two special right triangles. Let's do a couple more. 0, 90, 180, 225 is going to be in the middle somewhere. And we need to know that If you go to 180, you need to add 45 more degrees to get to 225. So this is the 45, 45, 90. Both legs are radical 2 over 2. Radical 2 over 2, radical 2 over 2. But since we're in the third quadrant, they are both negative. So negative radical 2 over 2, negative radical 2 over 2. That's this ordered pair right there. Okay, we went left and down the same amount. Let's do a few more. 90 degrees, anything that's on the x or y axis, you got to be very careful. 90 degrees is straight up, so that's the ordered pair. It's like, well, how far left or right did you go? 0. How much up did you go? The unit circle has a radius of 1, so this is 0, 1. 0, 90, 180, 240. 360 is all the way around. I didn't make it that far. I only went 300 degrees. So 300 degrees means the reference angle is 60. So across from 60 is the long leg, radical 3 over 2. That means the short leg is the x, and y is negative in the fourth quadrant. So 1/2 negative radical 3 over 2 is the ordered pair right there. So we went 300 degrees around, and we were just 60 degrees short. 240. All right. So let's see. This would be negative 90. This would be negative 180. I need to go 60 more than that. So 60 degree reference angle in the second quadrant. This is 60. So across from 60 is the long leg, and across from 30 is the short leg. Again, x is negative in the second quadrant. So negative 1/2 positive radical 3 over 2. One more set, 135. 135 is right here in the middle, and that is 45 degrees short of 180. So this is a 45 degree reference angle, which means both the legs are radical 2 over 2. It's the isosceles. X is negative in the second quadrant. 330 isn't quite 360. 360 is all the way around. It's 30 degrees shy of 360. So my reference angle is 30 degrees. Across from 30 is 1/2, and that means the long leg is the x, and y is negative in the fourth quadrant. One more, 210, 0, 90, 180, 210's right there. So that means it's a 30 degree reference angle. We went 30 degrees more than 210, or than 180 rather. Okay, that's 180, 30 more is 210. So across from 30 is 1/2. That means the long leg is radical 3 over 2, and in the fourth quadrant, since we're in the fourth quadrant, they're both negative. Okay. If you can construct these terminal points and you can draw these triangles, then putting the whole unit circle together really isn't that big of a deal. It's just a matter of overlaying a lot of triangles on top of each other. So make sure you learn your special rights, and make sure you smash that like and subscribe.